After years in the furniture and decor industry, we have seen so many do's and don'ts, so many rules, so many trends coming, going, and coming again. And at the end of the day, there are just 3 most important decorating rules that you should never, ever break. Listen well, because they are as simple as important. We are Noë and Oliver, the owners of the e-commerce mojoboutique.com. We live here in Bali with our 2 little girls, and we love helping people to create an inspiring living space. Now let's dive into the 3 most important rules. So, following this can transform any space into a harmonious, stylish, and functional heaven. Now, let's get started.
Rule number 1 is about balance and proportion. This is the foundation of every good design. Balance in a room means that visual weight is evenly distributed, creating a sense of stability. It can be achieved through symmetry, asymmetry, or radial balance. Proportion, on the other hand, relates to the scale of items in relation to each other and to the room they are in. Take the example of a sofa centered against a wall, flanked by 2 side tables of identical size and in proportion to the sofa. This completed with 2 or 1 matching lamp. This symmetry provides a formal and balanced look, but balance can also be achieved asymmetrically. Now imagine the sofa in a room, maybe not even center, with 1 or 2 slightly smaller chairs that fit in style, of course, but smaller, so less in weight, and then opposed by a large piece of wall art, for example, that itself is opposed by smaller items, but the grouping of them, so quantity makes up for the size or its visual weight, and this together can be very balanced and round the whole thing. So balance can be achieved through symmetry, which gives it a more formal look but very exquisite, and asymmetric balance is more like vibrant, a bit of eclectic. Both are interesting and depends on where they're used. The more classical, beautiful look of symmetry or the asymmetrical, more vibrant look.
So the tips here to remember are the following. Ensure that larger pieces are always balanced by other elements such as smaller furniture, items, or decor. The other tip to remember here is to consider the visual weight of different items, including furniture, artwork, and accessories. And the third tip to recall is use symmetry for a formal feel and asymmetry, as Oliver said, for a more casual, eclectic look. But even if you go for the casual, eclectic look, don't forget to always think about, let's say, fine symmetry and proportion in the asymmetry. We can think that to go for a more casual and eclectic look easier. We can think when we look at pictures of more boho, eclectic interior design, but it's actually much more difficult than going formal and classic interior design.
Exactly, Noélie. Maybe we should add here as well that the proportion with respect to the room is very important. If you have a very large space with high ceilings, a lot of space, and you add only few little items or furniture that is too small, it might get lost. The room looks empty, a bit like an empty gym or something. Or on the other hand, if you have too many items of too big size in a smaller space, then it looks overcrowded and will make your space small, which is not pleasant for the eye as well. So the proportion of the items and the number of items that you put in a room must be balanced with the space itself.
Some people even like to give numbers to some pieces to make sure it's proportionately weighted. So for example, let's say a big sofa, a large sofa, example take for 2, and then you need to balance it with the equivalent of number 2 with smaller items. So for example, with the 2 smaller chairs. So that can be helpful. But also here, it needs to be taken seriously because it's super important to have proportion and symmetry, that everything is weighted proportionally. However, it also makes sense. So there was an interesting study about that, asking people that have absolutely nothing to do with interior design to balance and to put different kind of furniture in a room. At 70% of them did it kind of perfectly in the interior design way. because it just makes sense, right? You will not use an enormous sofa with an enormous coffee table and enormous chairs. It just makes sense. Now, the rule number 2 is color harmony. Color is one of the most powerful tools in decorating. It really sets the mood, defines space, and it really what creates unity. When choosing a color scheme, it's crucial to understand here the basics of color theory. And this is not complicated. Whether you are working with bold hues or neutral tones, creating a harmonious color palette is key. Let's say 3 different possibilities here with the color. The first one is a monochromatic room that use different shades of the same color. Let's say for Mediterranean style, you will use different shades of blue to create a calm, cohesive look, kind of zen, but also helps to remember the ocean. So even though it's all one color, it's important to varying tones, add depth and interest. So that's the monochromatic rule. The second one is to use 2 different complementary color scheme, where colors opposite each other on the color wheel. For example, blue and orange, which opposites each other on the color wheel, and this creates a super vibrant and energetic contrast. What you could also do is the number 3rd possibility here, and it's the triadic scheme with 3 colors evenly spaced on the color wheel. For example, a tone of yellow, a tone of blue, and a tone of red, working together to create a balanced and lively space. Really important tips here to stick to a limited color palette to maintain harmony. So we give the maximum example of 3. Otherwise, it looks like a rainbow interior. This rule doesn't really apply in a kid's room, because in a kid's room, you can really be super bold and be a bit crazy with the color. Maybe not if your kid under 3-4 years old, because they won't sleep if it's too vibrant, crazy colors. But it's some nice kids' room from interior designers who used a lot of different colors, and which makes the thing quite fun. The other tip here, use 60-30-10 rule. So it's 60% of dominant color, maximum 30% of secondary color, and 10% of accent color. If you don't know what are dominant color, secondary, and accent color, you can just Google question. It's really super easy to find which kind of colors go where. The other tip to remember is to experiment with different color schemes, but keep the overall vibe cohesive. Now, the rule number 3 is
functionality is the rule number 3. Functionality is important because even the nicest design is useless if it doesn't serve a purpose. So every room should have its purpose, and the design of the room should serve this purpose. So it is important to choose the right furniture for that purpose at one space, and the decoration and everything as a function of it. So if you want to redo a new room, think of it, how do I really use it? What am I going to do in there? So there's a lot of examples. For example, if you have a small kitchen, really, that is where functionality can come in, and you optimize with pull-out drawers or folding tables, folding shelves that can help you to optimize this. A seemingly integrated desk in your working area, it can help you also to work better and more efficient as you're comfortable and it serves your purpose. All is thought through. Or in a bedroom to add a folding desk to also have it serve as an office space if you don't have a separate room for it. But that folds away, and that the bedroom is the main purpose to sleep, which of course you're going to spend the most hours sleeping there. So think of adding multi-purpose furniture. Think of furniture that really serves the purpose in each room and put it in the appropriate space when designing or redoing a room.
And also functionality make a room beautiful. It's also something when you enter in a room and you see it, then people will think, oh nice, there's even a folding desk here. Or if you have a lot of storage solutions in a small kitchen, it also makes it beautiful, because obviously you will have more spaces to declutter, but also can be really nice to have a lot of drawers. It also adds depth and dynamic in the place. We hope these 3 important rules were important. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment below, and we will be more than happy to reply. And we also hope we're gonna see you around the next video. Thank you so much for listening, and have a beautiful day. Bye.
Thank you. See you soon.